Hello friends and fellow seekers of the good, true, beautiful. It's Mike here, and this is a novel update. Well, you can probably tell I am back at the Hemingway House in lovely Georgia, and I'm excited to be here because we are now in the beginning stages of the big push for the second two novels to come out. Their release date, as some of you know, is December the 2nd. So it's still a few months away, but this is the season when I get to do a second push for getting reviewers and readers, advanced readers, to read the book, to get reviews, read the books, to get reviews out on those books, to get pre-orders done, which they are available for pre-order right now, and to get the juices flowing and get the buzz going for the second two books, the final two books in the Pearlsong Refounding series up and going, so that we can get these books out to as many people as possible. Very excited about what I've heard so far from people who've been reading the first two books. It's just been amazing to be in the story with people for the first time for me, and that's just been a joy. But today I want to focus on one particular thing. I want to tell you, I want to brag actually about the book covers and talk to you about the artist, Alejandro Colucci. So you guys have seen already the cover for Gideon's Dawn. You've seen the cover for Waymaker. And if you've looked online, you've probably seen or seen hints of the covers for the second two books. These books are not out yet, but I do have proof copies of The Song That Shatters. That's why proof copies there, and a proof copy for The Word That Prevails, the story, the marker that's there for that. But I want to talk to you about the process that I went through with Alejandro, and I want to tell you a little bit about him and just promote his work, because it's just been an amazing process of working with him, and I've been so honored to have someone of such caliber in my court working with me on this project. So that's where we're going to go today. And I know you're going to be interested in hearing about this, because it's just amazing the level of craftsmanship and work that goes into book cover production. And this guy is the top. He's the cream of the crop. And so I've just been really excited to get the chance to work with him. And I want to tell you more about that. Okay, so I came inside so I could have a little better control over the sound and over just sharing some information with you about Alejandro. So those of you who don't know, Alejandro Colucci is an Italian Uruguayan illustrator, artist who works both in digital and physical mediums. And I came upon him, or I found out about him just by researching cover artists for book cover artists for series. And he's an award-winning artist who has quite a resume of book cover designs and other kinds of illustrations that he's done. He's done work for Anne Rice's novels. He's done work for the Witcher series, those of you that are familiar with that. He's done books for Orson Scott Card, books for C.S. Lewis, books for Ursula Le Guin. The list just goes on and on of famous Robin Hobb, Catherine Neville, Tom Wolfe. I mean, it just goes on and on of these really high-end authors who have worked with him, and they've worked with him for good reason, because he has, in my opinion, a really unique take on how to create powerful images that really stick with the reader. And I've loved the way that, just in my experience of him, how his work actually conveys not just a scene or a moment in the narrative, but conveys the emotion of the characters, conveys the emotion of a scene in the way he captures action, and the way that he captures angst and tension in the work that he does. And I was really lucky to get him, to be honest. Like, I feel like he's in great demand, and I just happened to catch him at a time when there was enough wiggle room in his schedule to allow for us to do this 4-book project together. And so as I go through this, I will be showing covers, the 4 different covers and the illustrations from the covers for the Pearlsong Refounding, for Gideon's Dawn, Waymaker, the Song That Shatters, and the Word That Prevails. But I just want to tell you about the process that actually went through, which was really fascinating to me. Because what we did is, as we got to know each other, he's based in London, so this was all virtual, our communication. But as we got to know each other, he asked me to basically share with him key scenes from the book, to talk about the characters who are going to be in the covers that or in the cover that we were working on at that time. And so I was able to share with him, like, say for Gideon's Dawn, I'll say this in general, for every cover within the Pearlsong Refounding series, the cover is from a scene in that book. And so, like, when you and I, it's kind of bugged me at times, I have to say, when I've read other fantasy novels and I see the cover, and I kind of feel like that's a promise. Like, I'm looking at the cover as being, okay, this is what I'm going to see inside. And then I read the book and I never see, like, what's on the cover actually happening in the actual story. And so I didn't want that to occur for the Pearlsong Refounding. And as a result, I was careful to make sure that whatever I was conveying to Alejandro was actual material from the story. So I actually sent him excerpts from the actual book, along with descriptions of the characters as I had imagined them, and of the ethos and the angst of the scene as well. For Gideon's Dawn, that scene that's on the cover is of a character from the actual story. It's from a pivotal scene in the story. It is perhaps without giving anything away, it's perhaps it is perhaps the defining scene of the story in a lot of ways. But being able to explain the perspective of the shot, like what's happening in the shot, why the shot is the way it is, and not wanting in that scene, in that situation, to even reveal the face of the character, all of that got included in the conversation with him. And I was just amazed at how he took what, to my mind, was just like a fairly sparse bit of information. Like, I sent him all that, but it's still like he hadn't read the novel. He hadn't really absorbed everything that I had knew, because I'd written the book. But when he sent back to me the actual first drafts of the image that he had crafted, it was uncannily spot on to what I had in my head, like what was kind of going on in my imagination about that scene. And so, and this repeated for all 4 books, where we were, I don't know if it's like he has telepathy or what it is, but we had this really cool link where I would send little bits of information about the scene, and then he would craft his imagery out of that, his composition out of that. And you can tell, so he works with multimedia stuff, and I won't try to explain his process because it's beyond me, but I know he uses more than just pen and ink to create what he does. I know it's more than just stuff that he's creating from his imagination, but he's bringing composite materials together, and he's also creating from his own imagination at the same time. So that first cover, there is a scene in the book, and if you read the book, you will come to a scene and have that gestalt of going, this is what's on the cover. And the same is true for the second book, which is very different. Waymaker, suddenly we're obviously at sea. There's obviously a ship, and there's this particular moment that happens in the story, and explain the whole thing to him. It's a much more complicated scene than the first book. And nevertheless, Alejandro was able to take all that data that I sent him and just create from it this image that is so, on the one hand, incorporates all that's happening, but is also very singular. I mean, you just see that you see the ship, and the ship is beautiful. I mean, it's just a really beautiful ship. It is the Endurant. That's the name of the ship that you see on the cover. and all that's happening in there. Once you read the story and you get to that scene, then I think readers will realize that's the scene, and then kind of as they're reading the story, go back to the cover and kind of find the different bits and bobs that are in there that are actually in the scene. They're actually in the cover, but they may not be immediately apparent to someone who's looking at it until they get into actually reading the actual text. The same goes for, the song that shatters. I'll probably put an image up on the screen here, but the song that shatters, that was also it is a particular scene in the story. And then the fourth book, The Word That Prevails, probably for me was the most emotionally riveting of them all, because that's where we see a face. Like in every other one of those covers, there's no face, and that was all by intention. Everything, all about that was totally intentional. So when you see a face on a cover of the fourth book, that is by design, and everything about that was very important to the narrative itself. So as Alejandro and I are discussing this, I asked him, we're talking about what this character looks like and all of that. And I asked him, do you think that you can create an expression on this character's face that is both vulnerable and fierce at the same time? And I thought I couldn't even quite picture what that would be like. But then he sends back this image, which is pretty much the image that you said. We only tweaked, I don't even think we tweaked that much on the fourth book. He sends back this cover for The Word That Prevails, and it's just like, honestly, brought tears to my eyes, because I'm like, it is so that character, and it is so spot on to what's happening in this moment, in this scene, with this character. And I was blown away by his level of craft in this work. And you should check him out. I'll put the link to his website, and just to take a look at all the massive work. His portfolio is huge, and it's brilliant all the way through. And take a look at all the other books that he has designed and has done in the past. I was extremely honored. He contacted me recently to ask me if I would mind sending him copies of the 4 books that he's created for me for this series. And he made a note, and I knew this was true. That's not something he always does, because he has done so many projects that it's not practical for him to have copies of all the books that he's actually created covers for. But he was very proud of this work, and I'm very proud of it too. I think it's some of the best. I don't know, all of his work is amazing, but he liked it well enough, and I love it. So he wants to have physical copies of the books for his own collection, because it is some really amazing work. And so so I was very gratified that he asked for that, and I'm delighted to send him copies of the books for his own collection. And yeah, I just wanted you to know kind of how this process worked with working with an artist to create a book cover design. And of course, he didn't just do the cover illustration; he created the entire cover for the books. And so the back cover copy and everything else is also his work. And he did a lovely job of kind of having the imagery from the cover fade into the back, so that you can read the back cover copy without getting lost in some illustration. But at the same time, you kind of see it's all blended in a way that I thought was really, really quite clever and skillful. So I just wanted to, I geek out and brag about that some today, because I just feel so fortunate and delighted to have been able to work with him, and love the work that he's done for me, love the work that he does in general. Recommend you follow him on his socials and just keep up with the work that he does, because he is just a consummate artist, and he does amazing stuff. Can't recommend his stuff highly enough. And I'm just so grateful, Alejandro, for your work for this series. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for it. and just hope a lot of people get to see it through these books, and get to read the books and see how your work connects to them. So that's my update for you today on the novels. There'll be more, of course, in the future videos about the release and new giveaways that'll be connected to that release coming up on December 2nd. But for now, thank you as always for your support. And as I will always say, if you are reading Getting Design a Waymaker, please leave a review on Amazon and Goodreads. That's the lifeblood of the series. We're trying to get the word out to as many people as possible, and your word actually helps it happen. So tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell everybody about the books. Let's get the word out on this story. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one, guys.